What it
the
is
town
a
plan.
statement that you're enforcing by adopting the regulations. You're enforcing the town plan. So it is basically your basic law of how you want this town to be.
But there's nothing in the plan that's enforceable. The
No,
Yes.
no, the enforcement is in the regulations.
Correct.
So,
Yeah, yeah.
So that,
So we both said the same thing.
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, hey. I think what you're planning to do looks like it's gonna work out all right.
Yeah, motion is on the plan to do.
Oh, is it time for that now?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So I make a motion that we, through grants, Jeanette's gonna look into grants. We have this draft gotten to an attorney who deals specifically in making the kinds of changes that we have been told that we probably need to make just generally to our whole zoning. I make a move that we go ahead and look into getting that done with the idea that when we would get that legally binding draft, that legally solid draft back, then we will share it with zoning and planning and move forward like that with it. So that's my first motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'm not sure, did we decide on the two-part piece of it?
To make a decision after we get it back.
Well,
Well, no, it should be added. That's
yeah,
added
it's-
I'm
prior
not
to
ready
review.
to vote on that.
You need to tell
the-
the,
Well, no, it
On
has
an
to be
ordinance?
voted on because
Yeah,
we're not
because-
gonna hire an attorney to
Again,
send that document
right.
twice. We've already done this
Right.
twice.
so the question, I'm not making a motion, I'm just gonna say, we talked about,
just a question.
Possibly very minimal
Yeah, go ahead.
short-term
Just
rental
a
in
question.
the zoning. The
Right.
definition of a short-term rental is one that just
under conditional use.
that has to be defined because nobody can say this way or that way. if
And
it's
that would
not
be
defined.
under conditional use in the zoning.
Have that added.
And have that
Right.
added, and then we would come up with some type of ordinance that would be a sister to it, that would talk about possibly registry and that kind of thing, after we get the legalized draft back from the attorney.
So what you're saying is just in the zoning regs, the definition.
Right, the conditional use, under conditional use.
I'm not ready to to commit to having a select board ordinance, personally. I still would really like this to be voted on by the townspeople.
I
So
think the
you
ordinance could be.
You can piggyback
Ordinance.
off of that with no ordinance. You can do an ordinance after, like she said, you can do one, the other,
Right,
or none.
Right.
So,
So-
it's in the zoning, if we're sending that, it needs to have all
Okay.
of the information that needs to be looked over.
But that's,
But the ordinance is after.
to stand alone.
but that would be, we would be indicating we're planning to do an ordinance.
Not
No, we
necessarily.
would just be defining, the way I understand it is that we would just be defining what the short-term rental is and put it under
In the
conditional
conditional
use.
use.
And
And I would like
just to
that.
be clear,
Just under conditional
everyone
use, not,
knows that the select board can change zoning and can also have voted on. And the same thing with an ordinance, just using the ATV ordinance as an example, that did not have to be voted on by the townspeople, but it was the select board's choice to do that.
Right.
So
Okay,
that's
so-
just the example to
No,
use
my
and that
question-
is.
Yes, go ahead.
My question really is, your instructions to whoever is going to write this draft, are they going to include short-term rentals as as part of the zoning regulations, or are they simply including it as one of the conditional uses?
Just one of
Conditional
the
use.
conditional
Have
use.
no other language in there relating to short-term rentals, since
Right,
we're
yes.
thinking about doing that by ordinance.
It might happen,
And I think that was my question.
yes.
But why do we have to indicate at this time
Because
about
this-
the ordinance?
We don't, we're not.
Oh, okay.
Nope,
She
we're not.
was stating that at a later date would talk about a possible ordinance,
Sure,
correct?
right,
One way or
absolutely.
the other.
But short-term rental needs to be put in somewhere in these regulations.
Yeah, I understand that.
So it would
So-
be put under conditional use and what conditional
That's
use
what I support.
also.
So I also move secondarily that short-term rental is added as under conditional use. Just state what it is so that it falls under conditional
Well,
use.
But that's what we're gonna ask the lawyer.
You have the
Well-
definition that we gave you.
Yes,
That could be included as an adjunct to including it in that list of conditions.
okay,
Well, and I would think that the lawyer would also be
Right.
able to.
Well, as long as you give him instructions
Right.
about how you want to handle it.
okay. Anybody wanna second that?
With the definition, we're talking
Yes,
definition.
the conditional use.
But it's not gonna go into the details of it, like whether you can have a
We're gonna let the
wedding or
lawyer
not.
That'll be the
Stuff.
ordinance.
Okay, okay.
That'll be
Okay.
the ordinance.
Yeah.
It's listed on
Yeah.
this
Yeah,
list
okay.
and then a
Right.
But
definition.
someone would have to second that.
Okay, I second it.
Yeah, that's that list
Yep.
of conditional uses.
Aye. Okay,
Can I go home now?
yes.
Yes.
Thank you for coming.
Thank
No,
you.
you're just gonna think
Thank
about
you.
it, right? Thank you.
Thank you both for coming.
Every time, I gotta tell you, I don't envy you the job you have. And I'm glad I'm not on you.
Oh, God.
Thank you.
Peru, Plymouth, and Chester. Look at those.
Okay.
I make a motion to accept the minutes from the August 28th meeting.
I
I
s-
second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, we did that.
We did the old business.
You have any public comment?
I don't think so.
I'm assuming they're here for the list or something.
Yep. The next step, so we actually hit old business, right?
Very good.
Jonathan?
Yeah.
Do you guys have a public comment or are you just here for the listers update?
Yeah.
Okay, we're ready for you. By the way, we're ready for you.
Oh, good. I wanna come stand off. I can't hear you. I can't hear myself.
Well, do you wanna come over?
You wanna come over
Yeah, we
here?
got some chairs over here.
Sure. I can do that. I can do that.
It'll stop raining.
Jonathan's gonna give the report.
Basically, since March, what's happened?
There you go.
Okay, first thing we did was we sent out, or Fran sent out, percent complete forms to people who had basically building permits, you know, how much have you done for your house and that, and then we went through, and I did quite a few site visits. Leo came along for a few of them. That was in late April, May, and early June, basically following up on building permits. So there was a few new houses, there was a camp, a lot of sheds, garages, decks, things like that. Took pictures of everything, multiple angles. Then I used the best pictures to upload them to the camera software, which I'll mention as I get down. Measured everything so, you know, get the most accurate picture of what we're dealing with. Then we have all the information. We entered the measurements and various other things, you know, what things were built of and such into, and upload the pictures into the CAMA system, which is computer assisted mass appraisal, which is what we use to generate the values of stuff. Then when we got everything happy with what we thought the values would be and everything, we sent out change of appraisal notices, but just to the people who had done something. Like we sent Chris one for his little shed there, and you know, that's for grievance. We didn't have anybody who grieved anything. We had a couple of pre-grievance things that we had to adjust, but when we had the actual grievance, we were here because we have to be by statute, but we didn't actually have anybody. So we sent out the change of appraisal notices with a certificate of mailing, so we have proof that we sent them to people, and the current use notices, we also sent those out at the same time with a certificate of mailing. Let's see, we also worked on in the VT Pi program, which is the sort of new thing that the state is working with the NEMRIC program, and VTPI is going to take over the grand list. But right now, it's basically current uses in that is this year, and the homesteads, and then the sales verification, and then going forward, the whole grand list is going to be in that. So there's a lot of back and forth. We uploaded the CAMA from the NEMRIC module to the VTPI, and then you then work in the VTPI thing and send the current use thing back to billing in NEMRIC. So it's kind of a complicated thing for this particular year. They promise it's going to get better in the future. Let's see. Then we printed the tax bills, about what, 15th of July or so? Yep. And sent those also with a certificate of mailing. We did the 411 form, which is basically the grand list extract form. We did a preliminary one, and then as you update it, and then we sent the final one to the state on August 15th when that's due. We also sent out buyer and seller verification forms, which help with the sales study, and those include a welcome letter. And we've been working on the new tax maps, and I've been going through them with a fine-tooth comb, basically correcting any parcel numbering error, acreage errors, or just wacky things that have gone through. And there's been some things that have been wacky ever since we had tax maps, so try to clear all that up. There's been several different education courses that we've done this year. Let's see, April 11th, there was a Public Records Act overview for listers, and then on March 28th, there was a how to process current use. The new and seasoned listers training, which was May 2nd, 3rd, 16th, and 17th. Usually that's in March, but they pushed it back because of the VTPI stuff, because even on the day that they were doing that, they were still changing stuff. There was another current use thing on June 6th. There was a thing about legal chats with Charlie Merriman on June 20th. There was a Vermont state statutes and real estate law thing with Jim Knapp, which was July 26th and 27th. There was a thing on land scheduling, how you come up with a land schedule and the value of the land on August 17th and 18th. There was another webinar on reappraisal. There is a data collection workshop thing, whatever you want to call it, in West Rutland that I went to last Wednesday and Thursday, and I'll be up there again this Thursday or Wednesday and Thursday. And
So-
that basically gives you the fundamentals of how to collect data when you go in and different. I can show you the sheets and stuff.
Are any of these courses that the state is taking over the assessments, correct?
No.
No. So it is, I don't know what the way to word it. The courses that you have taken, when we first appointed you,
Mm-hmm.
you had some courses that you needed to take to become am I correct, a full lister, right?
We both have these.
Nice.
Okay, and so when did you get yours? And thank you.
Whatever
Good for you.
whatever the date is
Right.
on that, the 20th.
And you had yours prior to that?
Yes.
When
a
did you have
year ago.
yours? A year ago?
I finally did it because it was online, not to have to go who knows where.
So yeah, that was the other thing. I took the IAAO 100, which is the International Association of
Nice.
Assessing Officials, whatever, and that's understanding real property and appraisal.
Yeah, I thought that's what you had over there.
Yeah.
Is that the certificate?
Yeah, that's.
There was some
certificate.
certificate, and I don't remember what it was called.
Yeah.
Where you needed to be able to be a full assessor.
Yeah, that's what that
That's the one.
Nice.
Yeah.
Are you enjoying it?
is.
Ish?
Well, basically, it's just another piece of paper to have
no, good for you.
under your belt, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to take certain courses
yeah.
with PVR in addition to the IAA.
Right, yeah, which is the new and seasoned lister.
And do you have all those courses as well?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And you Okay. And then my other question is, the courses that you are both signing up for, and this is more along the lines of just financially, what we're looking at, are they courses that are paid for from the town? Does the
No.
town pay for any of these?
No.
No? They're just courses that you can sign up for, there's no cost to them?
Right.
Okay.
If you go for some of the higher level stuff, then there is a cost for the IAAO, but it's reduced quite a lot. I think
Most of the ones there's a lot of them offered through Valor
at a substantial discount.
and through PVR, which there really is, it's basically very little cost.
Because I haven't, and the reason I ask this is because I always look at our financial papers before I sign them, and I hadn't seen any,
No, there's
nor
no
had we
cost
been.
for anything.
No, I think
Okay.
the only expense we probably had was going to the VALA conference,
Mhm.
and the VALA membership, but
The membership, yeah.
Yeah.
And that was, you didn't mention that.
No, I
But
didn't mention
They also
that,
now
yeah.
give hourly courses throughout the day, which you get credit for.
so we went to the VALA which is the Vermont Association of Listers and Assessors. We went to that conference on Friday, yeah, which is up at Killington.
Okay. And then we had a reappraisal coming, and is that all done? You that work that you've been doing, is that considered what was it, a not a reappraisal, but a half appraisal, what did we call it?
Oh, yeah, statistical.
You're trying to ask where we are at with the statistical.
With the statistical,
So
thank you,
whatever
Jeanette,
happened
it's been
with
so
all
long, and what did happen with all of that, the statistical appraisal,
Well,
is
it'll
it,
be done this coming year,
okay,
because you guys put it off.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, Ed will do a test to see how
Quality
the
data
quality
check.
data is.
Mhm.
But basically, we will be doing a reappraisal. It won't just be a statistical because of the years out. So that comes next year.
Or in 2025, it depends.
I don't know.
It may start
They
next
start
year, but they
next
probably
year.
won't
Right.
finish
don't
till
finish.
2025.
but our
And-
cost is a statistical appraisal cost,
They gave that to you.
right?
Right, and once they have done that three-prong test, they will give you another contract to sign. The old contract is no longer valid. Okay.
But with the latest legislation, with this act, was it H480, which is now known as 68, which is confusing. Basically, the state has mandated that there's going to have a reappraisal every 6 years. And
And those who have gotten an order, it stands right now. So we have the order, so there's no changing that.
But we did apply for the statistical,
Right.
and so that
Yes.
would be that's the order we're going under, am I correct?
Correct, under the testing of the data.
But given how far out of whack our numbers are, do we think that we're really gonna, they're gonna let us do just a statistical?
I don't think we'll get a statistical,
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna have to do
not
full.
with all that's
Right.
happened. They doubt it too,
Yeah.
Right.
but they will do
You
it,
know, at
Cross.
practically
cross.
everybody, the whole
Everyone,
state's
yeah,
in
the
the
whole
same
state,
boat.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's because stuff is sold for, well over.
Right.
And what we're basically dealing with our cost tables is in the CAMA system is what was set in the land schedule and everything from the last reappraisal.
And that's 2017
Into
values.
18.
Way below what
Mhm.
things are
Right.
happening now, yeah.
Yeah. So, and it's happened everywhere.
Mhm. Does anyone else have any other questions?
I don't think so, other than I was gonna ask you how you are liking it. And because you're sort of wearing two hats, so you're doing a couple of different
Yeah,
things.
I have to change hats every so often.
And now are you able, now that we are out of COVID, are you able to work from the office, both of you?
Yeah, we have.
We bet.
Okay. All right, it's good to know.
Site visits might be a different story.
No, I'm just saying like completing all your work, not doing work at home, not bringing work home, being able to do work at the office as opposed to, you know.
Well, with site visits, there may be some people who won't let you in places, but you certainly will go around and measure stuff and get a lot of the outside. And there's always been cases where people don't want you to go inside their house, and, you know, and it's their prerogative. But
I'm speaking of your work that you're doing for the town, doing it. I understand the site visits, that's a whole different.
because that was the whole thing. During the whole COVID thing, that's what I meant. And, you know, nobody really wanted.
Oh, yeah,
Right,
I
right,
get
right.
it, I get it, yeah.
Yeah, and after taking all the measurements, we put all that information into a completely different program, Apex. It's a sketching program, which builds the house. So we measure very differently than real estate. They go about it in a very different way. This program builds the house for us. So we take measurements on the outside. Upstairs, we take measurements on the inside because you can't tell from the outside a lot of times what the square footage is. So we have pre-programmed in your head of what you have to add to the measurements as you take them upstairs. But and that'll build everything in the house from the ground up.
And this is a program that the state has required that you use? Or is this one that just you two have decided to use?
No,
It's a state
It's a state
approved
it's a state approved thing,
program, which is linked.
which is linked to the camera program, which is
Some other camera programs have a different sketching program.
right. And there are some different camera programs too, but this is the one that the majority of towns use.
And once you put all that in and you use your head about quality and condition, et cetera, there's a lot of decisions to make. In that, then you come up with a value.
Any other questions?
I don't think I have any.
I mean, I'm just learning about, I have no idea what you guys, I mean, obviously, it's one of the most important things in town, but I don't know anything about the mechanics of it, personally. Never having done it, I'm sure years of experience, like.
I devised forms because of COVID to send out and ask very specific questions. And if they don't answer them, then I have to go back with more specific to get answers from them so that we try not to overdo it for somebody. We don't want to assume something that isn't there, but if they don't give any information at all, we are required to do highest and best use, period. Because we have no alternative without information. So we try to explain to people that that's what we have to do. And if they don't give us the information we need, it will be higher.
Right, so the highest value. You said the highest value.
Yes. From what we can see on the outside, usually you can look at a house and say, okay, this looks like a grade 3.
Which is average.
And that, yeah, okay, good. And then you start seeing the differences, what's above average, what's below average. But usually what you see on the outside is what you see on the inside. Not always. But that's usually the case, so we go by that. And we have to guess at how many bathrooms, because that's a big driver, the water fixtures. So we don't, wanna,
I mean, sometimes we're lucky enough that people will provide a set of plans,
right.
and that will have, some.
And
And if they fill out the paperwork, then that's,
the permits that they get, they're supposed to give us a house plan with all this information. In other words, you look at it, it's a blueprint, you can say, okay, look at that, there's that many water fixtures, there's that much whatever. And you can measure on these blueprints and get square footage.
Mhm.
Not every house is built to the blueprint.
So it's always good to go out there with 100-foot tape and measure the stuff just in case to make sure.
Sometimes they're a little more, sometimes a little less, but
And sometimes they change something by the time they build
happens
it.
often.
all the time. And we don't care that there's changes, just that we have all.
But you have a paper that you send to people and they fill it out as well. Am I correct? Is that what you said?
Yeah, we can't get in, I have a couple of forms that I send out.
Mhm.
And I have completion forms that I send out as well. And it tells them, okay, if you've done this, it's so much percent. If you've done that, it's so much percent. So they can check that off and we can use that as a guide until we can get in the house.
And if they refuse, they can't fill out the paperwork?
If they refuse to fill out the paperwork?
No, if they refuse to allow you in the house, can you go off the paperwork?
We have to,
Right.
Off their paperwork?
Right,
Yeah.
and if
Correct.
they've done something, then we're gonna send them a change of appraisal notice, in which they
Right.
have the right
I just
to
had somebody,
grieve,
yeah.
to grieve something
Right.
if they
Right.
don't agree with the.
And if they don't tell us what they did, usually a neighbor does.
Yeah.
So,
There's no secrets in a small town.
So when the state guy comes around, I remember when he came around the last time, I believe he just came, we had him come in the house and he looked around, but he's consulted, he's familiarized himself with the information that does he use any of your information too? Or does he just get his own information?
he uses, it's not a state person, it's somebody that we
Oh, I'm sorry, it's a
Okay.
private company, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
we know
I'm
what you
sorry.
mean.
I'm sorry.
We print out every parcel with all the information in it, what the house is considered, and it breaks everything down. So
It's
they
a-
can
it's a
see
cost-
what's
it's a
there.
And he would have looked at that before he
Yeah.
comes to my house and.
He would have not only looked at that, he will have it with him.
Oh,
He
okay.
will also have, or she,
Yeah.
will have a drawing sketch of the house as well as a picture. Okay, so they know exactly where they're going, what it is, what it is now in the books for, and what they see with the new tables, with things change.
And what's been changed too, because the sketch in the picture may not look like what's there now because they
Right.
may have done something.
Yeah.
So when you say they, are you speaking of the two of you?
No.
No.
Who are
We
you
do that every year when we can.
We're doing a constant sort of updating of this stuff.
No,
But
they meaning when they do
when they do a
a
reappraisal.
town-wide reappraisal.
Okay, the appraiser Thompson does that.
Yeah, the contractors, we'll call them the contractors.
Yeah.
Okay,
And they'll have the big bunch of paperwork with every house with all the information.
everything, and they'll, at that point, they will set different values in the computer. They, of course, they'll all be all new values, but they'll, according to the sales, according to what they see, what the market has driven, they will set the new items piece by piece by piece in the program, so that now when you go in and say, this is 12 by 12, it's gonna come up a different amount,
Right.
because it has new
New values.
stats in the background.
Mhm.
And they might change your neighborhood, which changes things. They will probably change the land schedule as well. Because land is in a different schedule than what the houses are selling for. And of course, those land has been impacted as well. So it's just a guesstimate as to where that's going to be. But it will be driven by the market.
Yeah.
And driven by our sales in particular.
So, and we know that the contractors are very expensive for the town, but they would be 10 times more expensive if they didn't have your information to go off.
Yeah, we have,
Yeah.
well, yeah, with,
So it's all a bundle
specifically with
expense.
this
Yeah.
contractor, we do
Yeah.
a lot of the work
Yeah,
during the process as well. That saves,
yeah, it would be impossible for them to.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, and as Jonathan said, and I'll reiterate that now, reappraisals will be every 6 years, period. COD is the only driver that would change it to need it more often than that. No longer, the CLA will no longer drive reappraisals. Okay,
And the COD being the coefficient of dispersion is basically the low end to the high end. Because you have
the
really,
differences
yeah.
in each
so you want to have
category.
equity between the high and the low. So because you may have things that are actually too much and things that are way too low, and so sort of bring everything back to the center, and everything above a 20 or 20%, whatever. And we're at what 27.7. So that's
Or
what,
more, yeah.
yeah.
But
At least that's what we were as of the beginning of the year, but with the new sales study, it's probably going to be more
It'll be
because stuff
different.
keeps selling for
Mhm.
way more than.
Also, I mean, they still will, that's what, the sales study is very important. And that's why we do all the things we do throughout the year to get information, is because you wanna get these really high out of the box sales taken out. And the really low ones, you really wanna get rid of them. And the only way you could do that is get the information from the buyers and the sellers.
So like if something was really low, maybe it's a family sale or something.
Right.
Oh.
something.
Right.
And as soon
Or-
as it's a
yeah.
family sale, we knock it out.
Or it could be in the butter, which could work either way because
And we knock that out.
it could be somebody who really wants something, so would drive the
They'll
price up.
pay as much as,
Or because they are friendly, maybe they get it for.
they get it for less and they
Less.
maybe get a loan, maybe they get financing. This is all the questions we ask on the forms that we send out to each buyer, each seller. And if you wanna see them, we can give you those forms so you could look at them and see what they say. They're not the same on the buyers and the sellers, obviously, and sometimes you get different answers from the buyer and the seller. Good friends, yes, good friends, no. So, you have to then go to the state and say, okay, send a letter. Now, you send a letter because I have conflicting information. So there's a lot to consider on those questions, the answers they give you, that it really affects our sales study. And the better we can make our sales study, the more tighter we can make it, the better it is for us.
So that's where the art as well as the science in this comes in.
Yeah, it takes time to develop that, and it becomes second nature. And sometimes you skip, and they don't understand. You have to go back and explain. You know, so, oh, okay, this is why. And most of the time, when we have grievances, sometimes people just don't understand the whole process. So when you explain the process to them, then they say, oh, okay, now that makes sense. But before that, there's, oh, my taxes went up and blah, 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 you know, and all the crazy. But once you explain everything, and sometimes a value can go up on a house, but your taxes don't go up. Okay? So they don't understand that either. So this reappraisal equalizes everyone. So it doesn't mean because last year you were at 350,000 and this year you're at 400,000 that your taxes are gonna go up. Doesn't mean that at all. Your taxes could go down.
Because the tax rate could be less.
The tax rate is never less
Well,
from the state.
Never,
But-
yeah, never less
But
than
the
state.
whole, the scheme of the town equalization changes where your taxes land when they're equaled. Okay, so everybody's paying their fair share instead of you paying more than you should, you paying less than you should. That's what that's all about. It's very difficult to explain to the layman of why, you know, all these things make a difference. So,
And unfortunately, the major driver of the whole thing is the market
yes.
at the moment. And because there's very few things actually for sale, it drives the
Mark
price
it up, yep.
And eventually it may come down, who knows, but at the moment it's up there.
The market is up. And little things like that you may not think is a big deal. We have houses that are built, you know, nice rectangular house. Okay, that's not gonna be a real expensive house in the long run. But one that goes, or it has 16 corners in it, drives the price up. Because the program just builds that house and that's expensive. The concrete, everything else.
Right.
So that's another thing that people have to understand as well. Build a box, it's less expensive. Build a house, a box with a garage attached, less expensive than building a house with the garage detached. No, more expensive than the garage detached. You attach the garage to the house, it becomes more expensive.
There's
The garage.
more corners.
But no, the garage just, because it's part of the footprint of the house, immediately changes the value to more. And they know it from past experience that a lot of people are going to go into that space later on. So, and to know all these details in the program, I mean, it's all behind the scenes, but we have to know all the codes for everything to build that house properly.
Because the idea is that you want to be, you know, as fair as possible to
Yeah.
everybody.
And if we see something is way too expensive, we have to we sit there and we fret about it. And
Do you have to get outside help sometimes if you have a particularly
we could.
$1 billion house or
We
something?
can ask questions like, what would you do with this? Because we think it's too much. This is what I want to do. Can I do this? a lot of times, well, recently, because we have 2017 values and all the sales are way up, I put in things that were left out. Were not part of what was being valued.
Like what?
Well, let's say that all the stonework on a house, that really pushes up the value. And if that stonework wasn't all there when they first built the house, and they sold the house, well, like the $3,200,000 house, that had stonework like you wouldn't believe. So I went in and I valued that stonework. I valued the gas fireplaces that the contractors didn't put in because they felt that the house grade was high enough already. But now the house grade was not high enough because it was at $700 and something thousand and it sold for $3,200,000. You have to put something back in there. I do that. Not everybody can, you can't just do anything, helter-skelter and push it up because the state will come and say, you're chasing sales. Never go to the sale price, ever. But get it up there enough that at least we feel a little better about getting more of the equity.
And it's things that have value, so like the fireplaces.
Right,
whatever,
they have
that you
value.
can defend that and say, well,
Yeah.
this wasn't included before, but we realized that you have that, so we're going to add that in.
It's always defendable. I
Yeah.
won't put anything in that.
But some of the price increases are not logical, they're basically
No.
irrational.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
It's
that's
whatever
just-
the market,
That's
whatever
the
somebody
crazy
will pay, yeah.
of the market.
And so you don't have to justify everything, you
No,
can't
no.
justify
Well, yeah,
irrationality.
we have to justify
You
everything.
do.
We do.
Wow.
But we're
That's
not
hard.
gonna, but like what Fran said, we're not gonna go up to that price because with all the finagling or whatever with the program, you probably would never, some of these places ever get up to that with those 2017
17
values.
That's why we definitely need new values in our program. No
Wow.
two ways about it.
Anybody, any other questions?
I don't think so.
Thank you very much.
Thank
for
you
that.
guys for coming.
Yeah, that's very interesting,
Awesome.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome.
And I just want to mention that if we have to value that $4 million house that's going up, now when people put down $4 million on the building permit, it's a sure bet it's going to be more than that because we've never seen anybody put the real cost down. But we don't have the wherewithal to value that. So
Gonna blow up the program, I think.
until we have a new reappraisal, we will have to consult someone on that house in particular to get us a value. Okay,
Why?
why?
Yeah, but why wouldn't you be able to do it yourself?
We don't have the program doesn't have the wherewithal to value that.
It's the program is
the program
holding them to
itself is holding them at it.
We could do it
Right.
with
Mhm.
the proper,
It's gonna take a while, I think, for that to be built,
it'll take a little while, hopefully,
hopefully.
You're pretty confident.
Yeah.
so.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, salt bids. Three bids.
I like your t-shirt, Jonathan.
I do too. I was thinking the same thing.
Oh, that's all three of them, sorry.
Could I see the $86 one again now that I see that?
Now, was it Cargill and American one last year? Both of them? I didn't get to read through the whole thing, but which company last year was, as long as we took one load, they would, right, which one was that?
That was American, we took a couple loads from American, we usually try to get something from somebody else, just so that we've got somebody else in the pipeline in case we had some kind of failure to deliver.
But last year, the majority came, the contractors with Cargill, right?
I would however suggest if you are going to do a second contract and get a few loads, that you do it with Appalachian instead of American. Appalachian's got better salt and they're a better company to deal with, and their price is the same as American's.
Can you tell us what it was last year? $84.50. Like, we probably increased, I forget what we increased that.
And
I think Jeanette's gonna find that total number, that's budgeted out. Should have looked it up.
because I don't know much about salt and sand can differ from plant to plant. Do we have that? Is that the same case with salt?
Well, that's what Jeanette was just saying, more of just the kind of like the customer service maybe, because the issue here is they can't hold more than, what is it, 1.5 loads fit out there, it's not even 2, it's 2 fit, so they have to order it and it has to come relatively on a schedule, like Charlie calls them, but they get it within a couple days.
But the quality of the salt isn't different.
That I can't speak to, but I know that Jeanette
said it was.
Depends where they get it from. I will say Appalachia keeps theirs undercover. Not everybody can do that. And the guys were really happy with the salt we got from them in the past. I mean, it's a huge price difference, and that's why I said if you're gonna go with a second one, assuming you might wanna go with the least expensive as your primary, that if I think Charlie would rather see you have the second vendor be Appalachian, not American. And they were always really good to us. They were so good about delivering. Like it was 2 and 3 years ago. They were the ones who carried the state contract. And nobody is doing the state contracts anymore, where you're held to a certain price. And I mean, they were great. We never had trouble getting salt. They were always here when we needed them to be.
And have we used Cargill? Is that
That was the
That's what
majority.
we use.
that's what we have used?
That's who we used
That's what
last
we used
year.
last year. Okay, I thought I heard you say.
So we budgeted 52,000 for salt, and the Cargill's 700 tons comes in at 60,200. That's the lesser one.
Right, so if the quality is good on the 86,
But yeah, that just to let everybody know that that's
Yeah.
already, if we were to use the 700 tons, that's already set up to be over $7,000 over budget.
Well,
It's a $3,500 increase to go to the next company if you did the whole.
and we need to be on this right now, and our
I'm
bids
thinking
are
that
out.
has to be done right away, cause
Where does that go down?
was that the same with the Appalachia, if you got the loads, they hold that price for you.
And
Well, and they need to know now so that they know to plan our needs in with what they bring in.
So,
And honestly, I mean, the guys, as soon as we have a commitment to somebody, they'll get loads in to get the salt shed filled up, so that it's just ready to go when it's needed.
I would make a motion to accept the Cargill, is that how you pronounce it, bid?
I second it.
You wanna modify that to include a couple of those from Appalachia?
And how many loads do we need from them?
It's just a,
Usually two.
Just in case.
getting a couple loads, cause then they'll, usually will, keep the same price. Because you're doing,
Later on.
Yeah.
This Cargill has run out in the past.
Okay. All right, well, then.
you wanna modify
and
that,
modify
or
it to be, or could we go back to,
You can just redo it,
could we go back to Cargill and ask them for more loads or to,
They're saying that they always have the
they
second one
always have
set
the
up
second one set
because
up? Okay, then I modify my motion to use, it's Appalachia as our backup for the 2 loads, is all we,
Well, whoever you need to get from, but
I second that.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Well, we got one bid for haul of sand. And it's from Riverbend, which is where the sand's coming
where
from,
they have the sand.
$12 a yard,
and who is it from?
Riverbend.
Riverbend, and that's who we get
That's
ours.
that's whose bid you had accepted to purchase it from,
So it was it's $12 per yard just to haul it.
plus $12 a
12.
yard to buy it.
So that price has
Doubled.
because they wanted $6 a yard.
And the
They said
guys
that
can't,
they're running out of time.
Yeah, that's what we,
It's
That's
a
my
time
understanding.
thing. Is the sand made? Because I know that there was talk
He
about
was just getting ready to start.
because they had contracts
next
that
week.
they were supposed to deliver by a certain time, and they were talking about there was a lot of sand needed to be made.
They used to make it faster than you can room to store it.
Okay, good. Did Charlie say they could do any of it, or is it just something we need to?
That's something we need to firm out.
And that-
at $12 a yard, we need to farm it out.
It's
And-
$36,000
It is $36,000.
that we had not planned on spending.
Plus
So,
that-
and there's no way
increase.
that the crew can,
You're gonna be lucky if they get the roads back together.
We have another thing to discuss about somebody wants a road fixed so that it can be plowed, and that's something that's gonna be on their plate. I mean,
and there's no other independent contractors who are available.
you know, because they
Yeah.
would have put in a
Yeah.
bid.
We put it out to bid and we didn't have any responses, and I asked Charlie about it today and he said,
Didn't expect it.
nobody's got time.
I spoke with Charlie and just was hoping to catch one of the guys that had a dump trailer on a tractor. So they were hauling in aggregates with that, so he was hoping maybe to catch one that had some time and they would throw in a bid, but nobody did. So that's another thing that I don't think we can waste any time on, because other towns are gonna be in the same boat, I think. I mean, I don't.
but we
I-
do
I don't
already
see how
have the
that can
sand
be.
a lot, we've already got a contract for the sand. It's
But
just
it's not, all he's liable for is it to be there.
It's
He
for it to
doesn't
be
have
there,
any-
right.
When-
We can't be going down just so you don't know what's gonna start.
Correct.
Yes, I
I
understand that.
mean, we did that on the 8th of May. Is when we decided that bid. So that was a long time ago. We had no idea we were gonna get a flood.
And we put our bids out in the paper, did we?
I'm surprised. I mean, I was hoping we got more than one, but it is great that we at least got one.
I think he's only doing it
Because he owns this, or
because
he's
he's gotta
the,
get it out of there as soon as he's
Right.
away. He's probably gonna use subcontractors. to do that.
probably, yeah, he's probably.
Just cover it all.
Can we move that to after the flood update and we just talk about the other things and then come to that at the end of the road commissioner report?
Yes.
Yeah, to see, talk more about, has there been any with FEMA or any other stuff updated? That's all I'm concerned with, is just the money.
Mm-hmm.
Or road commission report and flood updation together. Yeah. I don't think, I was saying, we haven't seen him until next year.
Really?
Wow.
It'll be December before we get all our paperwork in.
So where are we at for a total now?
$535,000.
Wow. And with that new information of not seeing any money before then, should we move from taking money out of the general fund and go to we have to go to the Bridges Fund? I mean, we gotta start,
But we already drained that.
that one's done, the rainy day one's gone.
We are now pulling it out of the general fund.
So we borrow money, is that what we do, or?
We're gonna have to,
How much
It
is
might come
in
to that.
how much is in the equipment fund minus the new loader? Yeah, that's what I thought too.
And you were saying, Jeanette, too, that even when that money comes, it'll be about anywhere between 70 and 85% probably of what?
Max was 90%, correct? That was what they said they
I
would.
think it's gonna be a 75 match, are they still saying, Chris?
it's 35 max and then there's a 10, potentially 10 mistake.
So what do loans in regards to that look like and what are they?
It's a great question. I've been here 7 years and we've never taken a loan out for anything.
There's no experience with that either.
I think we're gonna have to start looking into that. I don't think there's unless
And-
anybody else has another.
Why during Irene, I guess I'm just apples to oranges here, I don't know. Why do we have such a deficit this time and not the last time? Did we not see as much? Or did we have more money in our accounts or?
I wasn't here during it.
We didn't handle it,
Pardon me?
it wasn't handled then, right? And
I think-
then we waited quite a while for money.
I would imagine too that everything, I mean, you think about in the last 2 years since COVID, every single thing doubled or tripled that the town is paying for.
Well, the trucking cost
Exactly,
just doubled
right,
in
right.
3 months.
Right.
Sorry, 4 months.
But over the last year and a half, everything's been doing that exponentially. So you think
Right.
the flood just is just a terrible bit of frosting on it already. Difficult. Jeanette, you need to start having bake sales.
Big ones. Can you make a cake that big?
Is there any idea of how much more work has to be done too? Because I know that's not done where we're at.
Percentages.
Yeah.
I'd say about close to 90% now.
That's good.
We raised the tax rate as much as we sort of dared to already, but
We raised the tax rate just to meet the budget.
Yeah.
We did not do anything.
right, so, but I mean, I think the answer is probably no, but we can't have like an extra tax assessment, can we? I mean, we have to wait till next year.
If you borrow money and then. just pay
And
it
then
out
have to
of the
pay,
budget.
yeah,
Because on top of that, 535,000 just in salt and having the sand hauled is another $54,000 that's not in the budget.
wow.
The price of salt, that's over budget, and the hauling the sand.
I'm really keep getting stuck on the hauling the sand part, but I know they're all really busy.
So it's 300 yards. They haul 16 to 18 yards at a time. So, and it's a lose-lose situation because if we put our big truck over the road for 300 yards of sand, we're doing more wear on it for before they want to use it all winter long. I mean, that's just that
10.
it's 3,000 yards, sorry, but does that one hold 16 or 18? Probably 16. So just that one truck would need to make 188 loads to Rockingham and back. And if on a good day, one of the guys could probably do 6 loads, maybe
Josh was saying this morning that
6 or 7. And on a good, I mean that's
Hauling.
no traffic, no.
2 weeks is all he did.
One guy 2 weeks, he could do it.
Yeah, they don't have.
with that truck.
That's what I'm saying, is that's the truck that the town relies on the most, and it is unfortunately the one that has the most trouble. Because if you went down to Charlie's truck, it would be a waste of time to haul it from there. It has to be that truck. Not a waste of time, but efficiency, sorry. I used the wrong word. It would not be efficient.
And because we've already put this out to bid, we have to take a bid and make a motion now, or we could try and put it out to bid again.
Sorry.
Or is it just, I know truck, it's so hard to get people to truck right now.
And it's a huge number at the end, but they're asking $192 a load to haul it, which is not crazy, but it is at the same, you know what I mean, the end price is the same, but if you look at it per load, that's what they're getting per load to haul it in a hour and 15-minute round trip maybe.
So even if somebody else was interested, there's no guaranteed price of
Correct.
different.
I'm not gonna I can't guarantee what anybody's doing, but I don't think you're gonna find anybody to do it for any less than that at the moment with the way things are. Dump trucks are a hot commodity right now, if you have one. They want them running all the time.
Yeah, hauling sand in all the other towns too.
Correct.
Yeah.
There's lots of subcontractors hauling sand. It's
What I don't know is if he would lock that in and make us pay him that for all of it, or if we can find somebody cheaper. If he wasn't busy for a day or something, we might be able to hire on, just
And
over a day.
would that be, is that still a possibility if we could?
I think it is, but you have to check.
Can you look into that? Because maybe, I mean, that might be a way to save a little bit, somebody that would be.
And if some loads could come, maybe. I mean, just saying, maybe they'd have time for a few loads here and there. Because it's a contract that they're gonna charge per
Right.
load that comes in, just like the salt. The salt gets, when that comes in, there's a bill. It's not one lump sum, right? That's how that bid should work. I would not see it written like that though. We'd have to ask, I guess it would be worth asking.
I think we can decide on this permanently or not tonight.
I think it's
So
crucial.
Get this locked in, maybe we can do something better.
Yeah, I can't wait till the next meeting because that's the end of September and then 2 straight weeks of one person hauling. That's not saying that's all they're gonna do too. So that's
Right.
2 weeks plus of waiting again for the sand to get here, and it's usually all here by now. It's already usually all here.
I should have had, we didn't get billed for it till after July, but we had it all here.
Yeah.
Pretty much before July even. So I would move that we accept this bid. And if it's possible, we'll hire some side contractors to lower the price if we can.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Financial letters.
Was there any flood updates at all?
Just a FEMA.
Oh, just the, okay.
No, my fault. Howard Hill looks great. They did a good job. That was one that there was somebody asking about it.
Yeah.
Including everything.
Well, no, not they did the hill was very rough
So
from
make
the
sure
original
you
fix.
sign this market contract, please.
Financial letters.
All right. was just hoping Jeanette would turn up the heat for us. And stuff.
I did the math wrong. It was not 54,000. It was 44,000 for the sand hauling and the salt included. Apologies. For the salt. Still not great. No, just.
This one's,
Just a thank you letter from HCRS, for allocating them some money in the budget.
Are we gonna do some executive?
I make a motion to move into executive session.
Second it.
Do we wanna let her go or?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah. If